Whoa! Let's talk about the rise of the green tide. Like always, we're going to talk about the GT winning list, followed by followed by the next best performing list, or maybe our flavor of the week list. Either way, we're going to be covering several orc lists today, at least 4 most likely. We have Brad Chester doing very well, getting 3rd place as well. We're going to go over on Michigan GT. And then we have the 2 first place winning list. So with that being said, like always, we'll be talking about this. We'll start with the stats in general of how the orcs are doing. This is, of course, from Meta Monday, in case you haven't used it yourself. Right here, we can see there was a 35 player base of orcs with a 57% win rate, you guys, in the 4 weeks, right? In the 4 weeks data slate, since the data slate, it's a 54% win rate, which, everybody felt really good there. We felt like we were in a nice, safe zone, not going to be nerfed by GW, not right under the radar where we could play up, we could play down. It was a really good spot. And now you see we're rising as expected. That's why we start this with the rise of the green tide, because we seen it coming, boys. We seen it coming. We knew that once we didn't get hit by any nerf hammers and our general predators did, that we would start going up, and that's exactly what's happening. So, like I said, this is our 50% win rate, 57, and so on. And with that being said, I want to start. I'm just going straight into lists a little more than usual because we have several today. I'm going to start with Sean Naden's list. This was a 96-person GT Battle for Salvation, so it's a very popular event in general. He went under Goffs instead of Orks. He does that quite often, it seems. Sean Naden is a very, very, very well-known and well-skilled player. He's known for making kind of out-of-the-box lists. Sometimes he'll play other factions if Orks are 2 down, but it's not uncommon for him to be a prolific Ork player. So we'll start right here, and I think this is his YouTube if you want to go check him out real quick on his own. So as you can see with this list, guys, it's going to have some nice, interesting units. We'll start that. And as you can see right here, Gaz. Of course, we have the Beast Boss. A lot of people love the Beast Boss, and it's for a specific reason. The fact that he gets dev wounds throughout the game, not just on the wall or with a relic. He's constantly able to do the damage that he's supposed to do, and you can throttle as long as you put some CP into him. So he's a great investment for reliable anti-vehicle, anti-monster damage. That's why he ends up on a lot of lists. I had to overcome and start loving him myself. So we have Gaz. Whoa! Who's not happy to see Gaz on a first place winning event GT list, right? Everybody's either down or unsure about Gaz. We understand his strengths and his weaknesses. Naden found a way. So we have Nob on Smash Squid at Wapa's Kill Choppa. Pretty much the same reason as the Beast Boss. Reliable dev wound damage against monsters, which is what Orcs really want to do with monsters and vehicles, considering we don't have great strength across the board and we don't have multi-damage attacks, like greater than 2, unless you go into our mechs and such. So here again, you can see he has a War Boss to follow me, lads, as we always know about that. But the one tech piece, the Nob with Wall Banner. Whoa! If you've been a fan of the channel to any means or just listen to me rants, you understand that I've loved the Nob with the Wall Banner, so this is a special place in my heart. That's why I started with this list. Come on now. So the Nob with Wall Banner, he gives you a second wall in the game. Boom. The unit that he's in, most likely a 20-man unit of boys most of the time. He gives him another wall. You use that offensively or defensively. What do I mean by that? Is that sometimes you're just throwing that unit somewhere, utilizing its OC, playing the mission, popping that the wall because you know that the enemy's going to have to try to dislodge them and you want them to overcommit. Or you're letting people know every turn, hey, I can pop a strat to get +2 to advance and charge, and I can call a wall with this unit only, not with everybody. I'm not going to waste it and still cover great distance through buildings and terrain. So the Nob with Wall Banner has always been a very interesting tech piece for me. And he didn't look like he brought any enhancements, which is something that I'm always like back and forth about. Then he brought a second War Boss. And the reason I'm thinking he did that, as you'll see, is he has Nobs and boys, and he probably snuck them in there. So the battle line, we have Beast Snagger boys, followed by a 20-man unit of boys who loves to see the mob. We all love to see the mob, of course. One truck, followed by a battle wagon. Yeah! You guys know I love the battle wagons personally. As soon as the data slate happened, we knew that when trucks went up, battle wagons would fall back into that range of being playable and being viable. They're a great data sheet, having essentially Armor of Content reduce AP by 1. Built-in is amazing when you can get cover so easily now in the game, and you can either make it more durable or just have its awesome 22-person capacity. So you love that. Love to see it. Bias, and I love it a lot. 2 10-man units of Gretchen, or sorry, 11 because the herder, but 2 units of Gretchen, the 2 MegaNobz. So this is most likely Gaz's bodyguards. I'm assuming they go in the battle wagon. So you can look right here. We have Nobz. Love the Nobz, our scalpel unit, as you guys know how I love to call it, followed by only 2 units of 3 Squidcog boys. So you don't even see the one big brick. He just stuck that character in one of these units, said, hey, go get my reliable damage, which is, I can totally understand. Then you have 2 units of Storm Boys, the Warbiker, like we always know the trifecta, but he also brought in another unit of Warbikers, which I like to see. I mean, I like the durability, the fact that they're still playing the mission, they have assault, great utility with that. So he didn't bring a lot of trucks, right? So we have one thing I wanted to point out here is we do have the battle wagon, and he can take on Gaz, but he can also strategic reserve him, or he has the Nobz with the power claw and the war boss in the one truck or in the battle wagon, and the beast boss with the beast snagger boys in the battle wagon or the truck, right? So I think it was very much matchup dependent on what he did with all of his units. There's no just strict way, unless he will tell you on his channel, I'm not sure, but we have to understand this is the kind of utility you want to think about on your orc list when you're being very smart, that next level where you're saying, I don't have to assign every game every same unit to the same transports. Maybe I will, but doesn't mean I have to. I actually do have the ability to tech into choosing. I can make this a 20-man. I can make it a 12-man and make it more durable for Nobz. I can put trucks. I can outflank Gaz or Nobz, whatever it may be. So love to see it. It's a very interesting list. He's a very interesting individual, and we'll go over his matchups. Before I go into matchups, maybe see if you guys yelled at me. Okay, just you guys yelling while at me. Whoa! But I'm gonna keep going. All right, so let's look at his first matchup, and he started off hot playing with the Eldar, and it looks like Eldar / Yaranari. So we have Yavrin, Spirit Seer, Mandrakes, Scourges. So a lot of Dark Lances you can see right here off the bat. You can see how many Dark Lances are going on here. Mandrakes, nice for playing the mission, pretty cheap. Shadow Specters, Warp Spiders, Night Spinner with Shuriken, Ravager, Dark Lances, and Bright Lances. So this is just a bunch of lances. Actually, you would think, hey, this isn't terrible into the kind of units that he brought with the battle wagon and such. And this is why having the flexibility of not being committed to just spending everything in that unit every time is the way to go necessarily, right? So he ended up putting up 85-point winning game into that. He's going to his second matchup against the Leagues of Voltan. So Brokir, Iron Master, with the Iron Here champion. Okay, so they're just bringing a couple characters and that one super hard to kill, bring back to life character. One battle line unit, most likely. Yep, just one battle line unit. Is it okay? Small unit. Sechator. Yep, those very effective. Transports, good guns, everything like that. So I'm not surprised by that at all. We have the Thunderkin. Again, very effective. You can see this a lot with these Leagues of Voltan lists where they know they're getting a little bit more hoardy, and they know that they kind of have to spread out because they want you to kill them so they can get tokens, and then they can be more effective with the rest of their army. They're going to have these cheap transports that are potentially good little cheap gunboats, and they don't really just die because they have weird durability with their toughness as well. So now that they're kind of cheap, Voltan likes to come a little cheap sometimes with their units. Not always, but Berserkers, like this is a cheap unit. They fight, they're great. They have a profile almost essentially of an orc nob to a certain extent offensively, and they're 100 points. So that's one unit like I'm talking about. You're going to see Land Fortress. Usually in most games, people don't have the ability to kill Land Fortresses all the time. They're like a Space Marine Land Raider, to an extent. So it gives you a lot of long range anti-monster, anti-vehicle. It's not that it has it built in, but the whole point of this rail cannon is to really deal with the thick, durable threats that the enemy units have. So you would think, okay, it's decent firepower and such like that, but Sean Naden playing with his list of, as we've seen earlier, having Gaz for the high damage AP, such like that, where he can tear through some of the Leagues of Voltan vehicles, the war bosses, the small units doing the capability, and the fact that the Nobz with the wall banner most likely could cover that distance and start touching things, just like against Eldar as well, most likely. That Nob with wall banner really just lets people know, like, hey, one thing I wanted to point out here is I'm not sure if the Follow Me Lads war boss is with the Nob with wall banner in his unit or with the Nobz, or if Sean made that determinant factor based off of who he was playing against. Another tech piece, right? You would think That'd be somewhat interesting to be like, okay, I'm gonna put him with the Nob with wall banner. We're gonna follow me, lads. On top of Ear we go, and I'm just gonna charge you from across the table. Just boom, right away. I can do a turn 1 if I want to. That's something that Eldar don't really want you to do, or the Leagues of Voltan. If you start running up and touching things, they don't really like that. So I can see how that was a great utility. He ended up putting up 99 points into him. So we're going into his next list. Beep boop. Chaos Knights. So we have War Dog Stalker, followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 brigands. Okay, so the max amount of brigands, very annoying units. With their the multi-melter cannons, and then they have chain cannons, 8 OC, moderate durability. We have the carnivores, so he pretty much went for the shooting ones, and then the melee ones, 6 and 6, and then with some small units that are allied to play the mission. This is actually a quite effective Chaos Knight list. Running as many small walkers as possible is actually great for durability to play the mission. You're running a skew. You really are, and you're not even running a slow skew or anything like that. So I'm sure Sean Naden, the fact that he had someone like Gaz who could possibly tank that with a lot of Makari's damage, not seeing a lot of dev wounds, if any at all, on this list. Gaz is able to solo some. Nobz are able to solo some of those. You have the Edwapas, you have the Beast Boss. So you have all these units that when they do reliably go into these brigands or these carnivores, they're just killing them. And brigands have like no fighting. So if you cover them, cover the distance, not with wall banner again, you can see that being a great tech piece, covering the distance, touching some of these units, and then all of a sudden they're just kind of shooting and standing still, and then you can get into position with your rest of your units, is how I could see him pulling off that win against that. Again, you don't know if he just strategic preserved, brought everybody in, put him on the table, matchup dependent. So then his following matchup was Ork Mirror matchup. So let's see the difference in this list and the utility that it has. So we have a Big Mech and Mega Armor with Follow Me, lads. Kaptain Badrukk, we know about that. Mazrog, we know about that. Naban Smashes Quick, Edwapa's Kill Chopper. That's it for his leaders. 2, 3 10-man units of Beast Snagger Boys, followed by 4 trucks. Flash Skits, 2 units of Grots, 1 large unit of MegaNobz, okay, for the Big Mech. Squig Hog Boys, 3 3-man units, 2 Storm Boys, and 1 Warbiker unit. This is a pretty typical Ork list to a certain extent. We see the MegaNobz, I've been talking about that. They do not have the twin kill saws, and I'm not a fan of that. But it is what it is. He probably put some of these into trucks, maybe outflanked to just put the MegaNobz on the table to hold an objective, or well, follow me, lads. It looks like they want to come in and do something. Wouldn't be surprised if you reserve them and then try to get them on the table and then charge across the table. And Mazrog. So this has a lot of what Orks really like to bring. A bit different with a bit more Beast Snagger Boys and not their leaders necessarily, but still, this guy got far enough to be playing into Sean. I mean, he was doing well going into his event. So Sean had 93 points right there. Going into his second to last matchup was Death Guard. I really am glad to see that he had to play into Death Guard, as Death Guard is one of those armies that I could see going either way in an Ork matchup. If you don't bring the right tools in the matchup, you can easily just go downhill if he has too many redundancy in his maybe small vehicles or units. So we'll see what this guy had. We had the Foul Blightspawn, followed by Mortarion. Okay. Only those 2 characters? Okay. 1 large unit of Plague Marines, followed by 1 small unit of Plague Marines, 5 mans, 1 Rhino, some Cultists, okay, 2 10-man units of Cultists, followed by the Death Shroud, a small 3-man unit of Death Shroud, Bloat Drone with 1 with the Flesh Mower. They both have Flesh Mowers. And then 3 big Plague Burst Crawlers with 2 Poxwalkers and only 1 Nurgling unit. Okay. So we can see... See, I'm not seeing too many threats in like melee other than these Terminators and Mortarion. So if you start, another list that if you do close the distance, of course, the entropy cannons could pop that battle wagon, but the battle wagon could survive as well. The fact that you can give it armor of contempt and the feel no pain, it's actually going to take saves most of the time against most things. I don't think the entropy cannons have -4 AP anymore right now. So, this is a pretty typical Death Guard list. I'm usually not used to seeing the Cultist and the Poxwalkers. He doesn't have as many drones, or Terminators as I would normally see, I would think. But he does have the drones. Very great for their point cost, 100 points. So this was actually a very good Death Guard, pretty Death Guard list as a whole. But I can see with Sean Nathan's list the amount of fire like damage he has. He actually has AP. He has high damage potential units with Gaz being in there for once. He has the Nobz with the War Boss. So if you put the War Boss with the Nob with Waaagh Banner and the Boys unit, makes that one big unit. That's a pretty punchy unit, and that's because there's 3 different Power Claw models in that unit. So you have the War Boss, you have the Nob with Waaagh Banner who has a Power Claw that typically hits on 3s, and then you have the actual Nob from the unit. Then the War Boss gives those guys +1 to hit. So now you're getting reliable Power Claws, and then you're also possibly popping Unbridled Carnage on there. So you're getting the War Boss, who's essentially 2 Nobs or more in by himself during the Waaagh, since he gets 9 attacks. You have the actual Nob with Waaagh Banner, and then your built-in Nob. So you're getting a good amount of Power Claws out of that unit to where most people are like, oh, a bunch of boys are going to punch me. No, you're also going to get punched by a bunch of Nobs. Pretty much a bunch of Nob punches, like a small 5-man unit of Nobs, essentially. You can think of it in your hand with volume, plus the boys' volume as well. So that Nob with Waaagh Banner is deceitfully has potential to kill units like those Death Guard units. So yeah, that was actually pretty interesting, pretty awesome. Nice to see that. And let's go into his last matchup. Okay, so we have Chaos Space Marine. So this is one of the factions that I thought might end up being one of our predators, or actually just still be doing very well in the meta, and it is. It's rising with their gun line. So let's see what's happening here. We got Abaddon, a Chaos Lord, another Chaos Lord, a Dark Commune. Okay. Cultist Mob, Chaos Rhino, a Cursed Cultist, big unit of Chaos Terminators, Chosen, Forge Fiend, Nurgling, and Silax. Okay. I'm not used to seeing Silax on this list, or that person's name, Selexi, on the list. Forge Fiends, we know what they do. Entropy Cannons, very reliable damage output, especially when Abaddon's giving them his rerolls. We have the Chosen. They're undivided, so they can choose what they're trying to do here with what kind of potential. Chaos Marines have so much potential to either choose, I'm going to try to reroll, I'm going to try to get lethals, or sustain criticals on 5s, or I'm going to try to fall back and shoot, or fall back and charge, or I'm going to advance and charge, or I'm going to fight in death. I'm going to be Nurgle and be unseen. Like, they have different abilities based off their mark. So that's something that you'll learn over time if you end up having to play into them. And then one big brick of Chaos Terminators. Of course, Abaddon's most likely going to be attached to them. I typically, when I played into that, I did actually try to just avoid that until I couldn't. And that's because Abaddon himself is very reliable in his offensive potential as well. And you're not really going to want to be like, I'm going to precision you out. So you're going to have to chew through the 10 Terminators, and most Orc units can't just straight up chew through 10 Terminators. They can chew through like 6 and then kill the rest as it goes on. But, 10 might be a bit much. So there's a good list. It doesn't have obliterators like I'd be used to seeing, but it does have the nice cultists and their cursed cultist mob, which would actually be good. But that's where something like the Nobz with Waaagh Banner again would actually come into play and try to decimate that accursed cult unit, put them right on the line. I've gone into 20 cultists to have a 4-up invuln on a 5-up feel no pain and punch them out with the Nobz with Waaagh Banner unit. So he has the strength and the volume to actually punch out that list, and the actual AP as well, in a weird way, and durability. So great job by Sean Nathan. That was his performance. First place at the Battle for Salvation. So great job. Whoa! That had a bunch of different lists. I mean, units that I really like to see, guys. I'm really happy to see this list. And it has everything that I've, really like to see on the table, or I've been running. Besides, I haven't been running Gaz, to be honest, but I love to see him on the table. So I'm just happy to see this list. It looks great. And here, if you find him, this looks like that might be his channel or his review or something. So yeah, check it out if you want to learn more. Get wall. Whoa! All right, so we'll follow. I'm check for chats real quick, but then we'll go into the next first place performing list after I check chat real quick. Let me see what y'all gets got to say. Let's see what you gets got to say. Whoa! Yeah. For the revolution. War on my knob. What do we got here? Wagon's got that roller. Thunder. Whoa! Exactly. The roller, we love that. We love that. We war for Gork and Mork. Or Gork and Mork. Whatever you prefer. Sean likely steamrolled that Voltan list. It was not optimal, and Sean is Sean. So, woof. Yeah, it's not like the most You didn't see a bunch of the big bricks of their versions of Terminators on there, like the 10-man units, right? I don't want to call out his list, but you know, you in the first matchup, it can either be super hard or sometimes just not a great matchup for the opponent. And in this case, yeah, Sean most likely just covered the distance and just smashed him over. Battle wagon meta will happen. Also, a truck with flash gets Badrukk plus mech in reserve has really helped my Blitz Brigade get strong victories lately. Whoa, yeah, for sure. That's a great tech piece that people have been using even before the balanced data slate. Because you also, I don't know how you're ruling in where you're playing, but you can disembark when you come out of strategic reserves with that unit. You know, that's how it seems to be intended. Captain Badrukk in the Mighty Geats. Slilax is a beat stick with a stand back up on a 2+. So it's a decent number of lists. It's just run around and be annoying as heck. Yeah, for sure. I can understand that. So that was an even better list than I thought. So thanks for letting me know that. So Sean Nada did what he does though. So let's check the next one. Call to Arms. This was a bit smaller of an event. I think it was like in the 40s of people, but it's okay. Still did a great job. So we'll look at his list real quick. Boom, boom. Roll out. So we have Beast Boss, Naban Smash Squid, Edwapas, War Boss with Mega Armor. Yeah. Follow me, lads. Weird Boy, Beast Snagger Boys, followed by 4 trucks, a battle wagon. Okay, another battle wagon, 2 Gretchen units, 1 5-man unit with kill saws, Nobz with power claws, and then 2 small units of Squighog Boys. So not even, again, we're not seeing a brick. Followed by 2 units of Storm Boys and 1 War Biker unit. That's what we like to see, right? The dynamic trio. So that's how I run it too. Like I said, I'm a little surprised not to see the big unit of Squighog Boys again. That must be like a tech thing that's happening, you guys. Nobz though, and again, here we go, MegaNobz. That's what I'm talking about, guys. I can see MegaNobz being a real thing. People still like, I don't know. If you got them, play them. You know, let me know then. So battle wagons we have here. And 4 trucks. So of course, battle wagon. We love the utility of the battle wagon. You could put Nobz in there and grots. So if it gets blown up, then you just have all the wounds going to the grots. You can just make it more durable if you know the opponent doesn't have great anti-tank weapons. And you have all these trucks for the redundancy of transport, staging, disembarking, walling, right? So love to see that. Beast bosses make you very, very optimal into a bunch of tanks and such like that. So let's see what he ended up having to actually crump. So we have, right here we go, right off the bat, Hive Tyrant, Barbed Hierodule, Barivores, 2-3 Exocrines, Maliceptor, 2-3 Powervores, 2 Ravners, Ripper Swarms, and Tyrant card. The Ravners just have the ability to come on and off the table. Powervores, they're their flamers essentially. Maliceptors, they have a -1 to hit or a bubble, I believe. And they have a built-in 4-up invuln. Exocrines have their great profiles overall, but it's only strength, I think, 8. So that's not reliable anti-battle wagon. You're going to be taking saves when you're in cover. And then the Barbed Hierodule, those Forge World models, they're very large monsters that have like big cannons on them with good profiles, but not a lot of AP and shooting. And then they have high damage melee, followed by Hive Tyrant, and this is the Invasion Fleet. So having 2 beast bosses on foot and Edwapas, you're kind of crumping through this list, to be honest. As soon as you make contact with any of the larger units, you're just reliably killing those guys. And then this is just not enough stuff to stand in between you and that, so you're just going to chew through that. The Raveners have an all right profile, but their Orks are built to kill them with their strength of 5 and -1 AP for the most part. So I can see why he just ran that guy over for them. I'm expecting kind of, yeah. So he got an 86-point win there. So that was actually a good job. Let's followed by, actually, I'll pull his list back up just because I'd actually closed it. So then we're going to go into his second matchup. We have the Death Guard. Another Death Guard. Yeah, guys, let's go. Let's see what's going on with Death Guard. So Death Guard with Icon Bear. Okay, here we go. We have the Lord of Virulence. Okay, there we go. And Mortarion and Typhus. So this was a bit more what I was expecting on the other list. This trifecta of characters, if not just the Lord of Virulence and Mortarion. So 1 5-man unit of Plague Marines, followed by the Rhino. We have Cultist, Death Shrouds. So here we go, a little bit more Terminators with a little bit more drones, and then only 2 Plague Burst Crawlers and 1 Poxwalker unit. So this is a little bit more of what I was expecting overall as a list. I wasn't expecting like the extra character, stuff like that, I would have probably tried to find ways to get another crawler on the list. But this is what more I expected with the meta Death Guard list for the most part. So I can see this being a harder matchup, but not really, because he put up 98 points into this guy, considering he has the AP, and he does have the anti-vehicle weapons, profiles on his list. So he is going to chew through those drones that are typically meant to slow you down, get in the way, set up a barrier, be as an actual like annoying skirmish unit that you can't kill right away. That orc list specifically had all the ability and the profiles to just tear through some of those Death Guard units. So great job right there. Now we have the Tau matchup. Kayun. Okay, so we have Commander Farsight. I don't know why I did that. Commander Farsight with the Commander in Cold Star Battlesuit. Another one Battlesuit. Here we go. Pathfinder team. Battlesuits. Okay, so they have their infiltrating units. Kroot with a Crisis suit with Battlesuits with Ion Blasters, Shield Drones. Ion Blasters, Shield Drones. Ion Blaster. Okay, so they have the same weapons. Ghost Kill Battlesuits. 2 Ghost Kill Battlesuits. 1 Piranha, 2, 3 Piranhas, 2 Tetras. Okay, this is another actually quite meta for the most part. I think I'm not sure about the stealth. What are these? Sorry, the Pathfinder unit. But hey, you have the transport. You might as well put something in it, right? So yeah, this is what they has a lot of firepower. Let's see what else we have. A lot of stuff to stand in your way between these Piranhas. Tetras giving you the rerolls. This is one of those unit matchups where I would think you really, really want to close the distance on this quickly. But considering you have so many transports, you're going to have a lot of staging on that orc list. You're only going to be able to be shot by so many units in line of sight. When you do stage and you can disembark, close the distance, charge, and you do have the anti-vehicle, keywords to tear through some of their units that are going to stand in your way or be given and thrown away to you with very little resistance, so you don't even have to overcommit. So again, he put up a 98-point list, and as you can see, he did very well overall. I mean, he just scored 98, 99, 99. So essentially perfect games right along the board. I'm going to close this towel list because no one wants to see fish people. Here we have a melee time. So melee Chaos Marine list. Okay, let's see what he has. War Dog character Stalker. We have the War Dog Brigand. Okay, so yeah, Brigands are excellent. I understand that. Huntsman. 2 huntsmen with 3 carnivores, Nurgling, and then a bunch of Nurglings. So, at least he has the Nurglings to try to move block, to try to make the Orks -1 to hit. It really could have been a harder matchup if he didn't have so much Beast Snagga, Beast Boss type units in this list. So, I'm not surprised he just put up 98 points against that guy as well. Like we said, we have all this pretty much anti-vehicle, anti-tank. You have the War Boss and Mega Armor has a great AP to actually hitting more reliably. You have the War Boss, you have the Nabon Smash Quig, and you have 2 Beast Bosses. So yes, I mean, you're just yeah. And then if they're tearing up your battle wagon, they're not tearing up the 4 trucks. So that's one of those things that even though you've seen these good firepower and gunline potential lists, it's like, yeah, but by the time you chew through the stuff that's getting in your way, I'm just gonna still have full units and just crump you. And that's what he's been doing. Even with these War Dog lists, even with all those meltas, they're just popping the units, the trucks that they can, and then getting run over after that because you can't stop them with just 4 or 5 melee, knights. So here we have the Grey Knight. So right off the bat, I'm going to say when you have 4 trucks and a battle wagon, you're just covering the whole board. And then if anything does decide to fight you when you have the units that are on that list as well, you're going to beat the crap out of them. So the Grey Knights, this is just bad for the Grey Knights player, as the Orks would just occupy the table, screen them. If they do fall on objective, they can't charge after because they have to do it within 3. So it's like, yeah, this is going to be, at least he brought 3 librarians because this is their version of anti-vehicle. But it's like, yeah, you still have trucks and they're still annoying enough. You have Caldraigo, Brotherhood, Terminator Squad. You have the big unit, of course. A Brotherhood Terminator Squad, Terminator. So this is just straight up all Terminators. And typically this could be an actual hard matchup for the Orks, right? If you just didn't have armor on and you were just infantry guys, like maybe even Sean Naden's list could have had a little bit harder time. Not necessarily, though, because then I would Banner can cover the board. But point is, you have the AP on the list that you're seeing in the list we're covering with Justin's list. He has enough AP and high damage and multi-damage that he's actually able to shoot through these Terminators when they do decide to fight. Then you have the strike squads, which are essentially just chaff. We're going to shoot through them as Orks. We don't really care for them. 1 Inceptor unit and then 1 Caladius Assassin. So really, they're conceding the table to us, and then once they concede the table to us, we're just gonna box them out and play the mission until they chew through just enough that they can hopefully score. But they're not going to do it fast enough, and they're going to just lose on the mission. And I can confidently say that. That seems to just be a reoccurring thing when Orcs play into Grey Knights, as long as you don't have like all infantry. And even then, you actually the big boss did that. Even then, you could just still beat him. Just occupy the table as long as you have like the 4-up invuln. So yeah, and then his last matchup. Oh, that was his last matchup. Sorry, it was Grey Knights. So great job by Justin. Went out there 5-0, clean sweep. Actually played into some pretty tough lists once in a while. You know, a couple of those lists were actually quite difficult and such. And he did excellent with consistency here. The first one was the only one getting warmed up, and then boom, 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 boom. I'd love to get that kind of scoring, so anybody would. Great job. And we got to see the MegaNobz going in the towel, going into these Tyranids and stuff like that. Like I'm saying, knobs are a real thing, guys. I wasn't messing around. So are battle wagons. When we were talking about that as you know, in our Discord as a whole, MegaNobz, I said, don't keep an eye out. I can see them with a new meta coming out, being more interesting, and they seem to be. So great job there. And then we'll end it with talking about a couple of the lists right here at the Michigan GT. Let me close those other lists so that I don't suddenly open them on accident, because I do that all the time. Let me check chat real quick and see if any of you guys yelled at me anymore. All the war bikes and no Death Killer War Trike makes my heart sad. Yeah, that was actually something that I noticed, that there was no Death Killer War Trike, and I've been kind of fitting him more into my list as a whole, and I'm going to try to start giving him some turns and using him. But remember, we don't know what the terrain looks like. Maybe the people looked around and said, hey, you know, I don't really have the space, or I'm worried about getting move blocked, or whatever they did, right? So I'm surprised and then not surprised, because I'm not sold on him yet, but I know what it is. That Orc list Naden beat was like the exact same list I sent in on Monday, right? You get what I'm saying? So wait, Sean Naden, did you run it? He had maybe you meant the other list, because the list I don't think you ran had the knob with wall banner on it, did it? Am I tripping? But either way, the other list I think looked like your list, because it had MegaNobz. So I think you're talking about that one, but I'm not sure. Either way, yes, we're on the same page in our Discord, and what we're talking about in the community, that yeah, we're running the battle wagons, we're running the MegaNobz, we're running the knobs, we're running all these things that aren't just Squig Hog boys. 18 watching, only 10 likes. There should be a like for each Devcopter. You know, hey, you like it if I provide value. You know, that's only if that's up to them. Their heart will tell them. The wall will speak. Late. Whoa. I had to do a little one because you're getting another one. Whoa! I never asked, but is Gaz a warlock or a clerk, since he's a prophet of gore and more? He's the war chief. That's what he is. Not a war boss. He's the war chief. Gaz is clearly a paladin. He embodies purity and the purpose. He's always true to the Waaagh. What's happening there? You know what? I'll let that slide. I was about to wall crazy. I was about to go wall crazy. Yeah, the list he beat. Oh, the list he beat. Oh, okay. Yes, the matchup one. Yeah, because it had Maz. That's a very common Orc list too, right? The one that he beat. It has like the flash gets on it and such. So that was, you know, a thing. It was like I was like, hey, that's a good list too. But you know, Sean Naden is Sean Naden too. Sometimes generalship is a factor. You cannot underestimate those Devcopters. No, I am not underestimating those Devcopters. I am not. You know, maybe a little bit in the beginning here and there. They're still not on my list yet, but if I ever have the points, I'm not opposed to putting them on. Not at all. I've been using trucks with flash gets. The Mac gives them +1 to hit out of reserve. If the truck is blown up in the opponent's turn, they don't need to move and get another round of 4+ to hit. Okay, yep, that's the other way to use them for sure. Now, let us move on to the Michigan GT. So you can see Death and Glory was just hanging out here. I guess they just decided to just all go hang out, the boys, right? But we're going to go with Brad Chester's list. After that, we're actually going to revisit Joel Romuel. We've actually talked about him a couple times, and he put 4 100s and then lost his last game. And then if there's time left and you guys want to, we can talk over this kind of fun. This was my flavor. This was my initial flavor list until I seen Sean Naden's list. Still did great, even though they got 15th. So let's see. We'll start with, of course, Brad, the war chief, Brad Chester himself. Even though Sean Naden's fighting for that position of war chief now, huh? Badrukk got his groove back. So we have Kaptain Badrukk, Miles Roggs, Not Much Smash Squig, Pain Boy. Don't really see that all the time, right? Not a Pain. We'll see Pain Boss. Pain Boy. Here we go. War Boss. No enhancements. 3 trucks. Flash Gits. Gretchen. Knobs with Power Claws. Another unit of Knobs with Power Claws. big brick of Squig Hog Boys, 2 to 3 man units Squig Hog Boys, 3 5-man units of Storm Boys. So this is more akin to what I've been kind of running. I like to run the Nobz. I wouldn't say I'm running 2. That's the thing. He's running 2, and he's using the Pain Boy in one of the Nobz units to bring back the Nobz, keep them a bit more durable in a different way, since you could just tell them hard as nails and have the 5 of Feel No Pain. So that was an interesting tech piece, and he seems to very much like it. So now we're seeing double Nobz instead. So instead of paying just for MegaNobz, hey, pay the extra tax and just get more scalpel units. Just and turn that scalpel into a big old, we'll say a precision instrument. So let's go with the next one, with his first matchup. So we have, what is this? The T-Sons. So we start with Ahriman, Magnus the Red, Exalted Sorcerer on Zisk, Thousand Suns Demon Prince, Thousand Suns Sorcerer. Okay, so that's kind of a typical, I think so, right? Typical T-Suns list for now. Only 3 units of Rubrics Marines, and they're all small units with all the icons of flame. Okay, so he has a bit more Zangor Enlightened than I'm used to. 2, still paying for these Forge Fiends, even though they're kind of worth it with those Ectoplasma Cannons. And then Blue Scribe and the Changeling. So it's a bit different considering these Zangors. Maybe I think he paid for a little bit more extra characters. I don't know if Ahriman's typically on the list. Oh, it's the Demon Prince. That's what it caught me off guard. Okay, so he brought a Demon Prince on that list, a big difference. I don't think that was the most meta list, but it was still a good list because it still has a lot of the tools that you want on the T-Suns list. Let's go into his second matchup. And T-Suns are still up and down a mixture of difficults into Orks. It really comes down to the T-Suns player and if they're running the most meta list. We have very much the potential to beat them, but they're still actually difficult in the right player's hands. So now it's the Golden Boys as the second matchup. Blade Champion. And I still think Custodes can be a difficult matchup for Orcs specifically. Of course, we have, dev wounds are now a problem for them as a whole, but they still have a lot of other durability and way to kind of throttle against us in a way that we don't really appreciate as Orcs. So we have the Blade Champion with the Veiled Blade, followed by Shield Captain with Ceaseless Hunter, Trajan Volodus. Guardian. Right away, we went with the back. We're still trying to go with there. So he's still trying to bring as many Guardians as he can, but instead he's going for 2 with the shield, so they get the extra wound, and then the spears for the offensive reliability. 2 units of prosecutors, and then a small unit, just 2-man unit of Terminators, and then the Wardens. I believe the Wardens go with the Blade Champion usually. Their thing is they get a Feel No Pain for 1 phase. If you're playing into Custodes player, it's not for the whole turn. Keep that in mind. The Feel No Pain is for 1 phase. All right, so this is what you're going to see if you're going to be playing into Custodes list, or you're going to see 3 of the Forge Roll tanks. It goes off the Caladius Graph tank. There we go. That's the name. So there's a very respectable list. It can be hard into certain missions specifically as well. But if you have double Nob units, you're going in there and you're getting that reliable damage, even with all their durability, with all their debuffs to your offensive potential. You're still going to be able to put enough damage into them typically. Then if they don't wipe your whole unit, you can still fight in death, even if you choose to. Sometimes if they're going to fight first with the Blade Champion and accept the trade, you still have Flash Gits who can essentially sometimes reliably still chip them down. So depending on how you roll, even if they get cover, it's like you really do have the tools as an Orc player. You just got to be a bit smart about it when you're going into the Custodes. And I would say we more than now are going to beat them. So we have the Tyranid Vanguard Onslaught. So this is one of the new kind of techie, annoying Tyranids factions, or sorry, sub builds that they're going to have nowadays. So we have the Death Leaper, the Nero Tyrant, and the Winged Hive Tyrant. So you're seeing him appear more and more, but he's only appearing really on the Vanguard Onslaught list. So we have 2 Gargoyle units, followed by Termagants, 2 units of Barbgants, 2 units of Biovores, only 1 Exocrine, okay, 2 Lictors, followed by 2 more Neurolictors, a Norn Emissary, Ripper Swarms, Tyrant Guard. So the Tyrant Guard actually aren't terrible. They give whatever leader they're attached to 5 of Feel No Pain, I believe. And then the Neurothropes. So you get the reliable long-range damage. It's not that long, but it's long enough range damage from the Neurothropes. You have the Norn Emissary to hold down one part of the board, and then you're trying to get the Lictors to kind of play the mission in the middle, force you to come out and interact with this army. But all these little chaffy, units that are normally kind of annoying for factions to deal with, the Orcs are just beating them up. Even the Lictors, most people are like, oh, I don't really have the tools to go punch up a lictor, and they want to, you know, you can't be shot at unless I'm a certain range. Yeah, but Orks are one of those factions that if you throw something like that in that part of the table or run at you, maybe we'll shoot at you a little, and then we'll just tank shock them with the truck. All right, sorry about your lictor, ran him over. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's funny how Orks kind of play that way. It's just, you know, he's all techie and stuff, trying to be interesting. We're like, we're gonna crump you, and you just cover the distance and just beat the crap out of them. So I'm not saying that there wasn't a bunch of skill involved. Of course there was. When someone is playing the Vanguard Onslaught, they typically have, you know, I'm going to play these fixed missions, I'm going to play this, and they've ran their list several times, and they have there's redundancy in what they're trying to do. But they're also not used to the Orks most of the time, and then Orks just run them over because they're like, you're trying to do fancy stuff, get over here, you get, you know, they're squashing them. So yeah, I'd like to hear what Brad Chester. I'm trying to get an interview with him. He did say he would, but you know, he's a busy man. Of course, he has his own channel and such. So maybe if he gets in the mood, we can talk about it. And if he's not busy, of course. But that would be funny to hear because I want to make that same sound effect. You know what I'm saying? So we have the sound effect. I mean, sorry, the Sun Sentinels. We have the Space Marine Black Templar. So Black Templars, if you didn't peep it in the other one, they have a 59% win rate right now. So this is the Lord Castellan, Chaplain Gimaldis, High Marshal Helbricht, and Judiciar. So their version of Blade Champion. We have the Primaris Crusader Squad. So this is one of those new. It looks, is getting one of those hoardy Space Marine lists where they're like, I'm going to bring 2 big units of Primaris Crusader squads. Then we're going to bring, what else they got? They got Lancers. I do, you know, I don't like to see them against me, but Lancers, great for Space Marine players. 1 unit of Inceptors, 1 Land Raider Redeemer, Sword Brethren, and Clades Assassin. Okay, so it's really not that many bodies. Clades, Land Raiders, Inceptors, Lancers, all very, very good for Space Marines as a whole. And then you bring this nice tech piece in some kind of, you know, in a hoardy fashion with the durabilities and fighting units that most factions aren't really prepared for or don't want to deal with. And Orks are like, what? Get stuck in with a bunch of Space Marines? Nobz are picking up all those little, you know, picking up this Primaris Crusader squad most of the time. Lancers aren't going to have enough time to shoot before they get their value back into most Ork lists. So, yeah, I mean, hide your Squig Hog boys coming from reserve. Boom, you're going to deal with them. And that was, I'm making sure. So that was his 4th game. And then, interestingly enough, Joe Ramul, and this is how we'll transition on to Joe's list, ended up having to go into the War Chief again and Brad again. It's funny because I think this happened at one of the other events that we covered that he was on, where his last game was into the next best performing Ork player, and he beat him too. So here is when Brad actually did win this one as well, of course. So let's see now when we get to see Joe's list, and then we'll look at some of his matchups. So he has Boss Zagstruk. Whoa, that's what I'm talking about. Who's been using Boss Zagstruk, huh? Not that many. I know a couple war bosses have, but Boss Zagstruk's awesome. War boss, he has more attacks than a war boss, you know, in general, because he's sitting at like 6 base. And he has a built up 6 of Feel No Pain. He has 6 wounds. You know, he's awesome. Captain Badrukk, Beast Boss on foot, Nobz Smash Squig, War Boss. Beast Snagger Boys, Flash Kids, Gretchen, Nobz, Storm Boy. So he did keep it only in 5-man units. So another thing we were thinking is a 10-man unit. Shout out to the boss. 10-man unit. Here we go. Zagstruk. Boom. You could just start deciding, hey, I'm going to advance and charge across the table. I'm going to pop. Here we go. And I'm going to be able to threaten you from all over the table. So that's why I was wondering if he brought a 10-man unit, but he did not. And then we have 3 units of Squig Hog Boys. Boom. I'd love to hear kind of how this went in the matchup. And 3 trucks. So this is another very meta Ork list. You have the Nobz. You have a bunch of you have Flash Gits, Nobz, and a bunch of Squig Hog Boys, and you bought the Beast Boss Boys. And interestingly enough, the Zagstruk. So I'm not sure if he just was like, hey, sometimes I'll run Zagstruk alone and just drop him in the backfield, or maybe I'm just hoping that because that's what I want to do, right? But this has the very typical powerful Ork tech pieces besides Mazrog, and he just went for more Squig Hog Boys, still brought the reliable Captain Badrukk and the War Boss. So shout out to Brad Chester, because this is an excellent list to beat, in my opinion. There's a very excellent list to beat in the Ork meta right now, and Brad pulled it off with a different kind of firepower in a sense, right? Because he still had flash hits and stuff. So I'd like to hear how that game went. But we'll take a look at Juri Rommel right now, because he was having excellent games, and then he just had to run up into Brad Chester. So let's see what you guys say back to us in response. Let me just check real quick, guys. Check, because you guys looks like you guys talked and I did not see. Deathcopters have a lot of firepower, but after you blow your Waaagh, they die pretty quick. Yeah, but sometimes they're just replaying the mission or drawing fire from your more like key units, right? Your more valuable units. Sometimes people have to use, or they'll make the wrong choice of choosing to put their better long range damage or high strength damage into the Deathcopters instead of putting more into your Squighog boys or the Nobz that are right in front of them, or Mazrock, or whatever you're using. So sometimes it's just about that as well. But yeah, you're right, by the way. War Boss. Whoa! Yeah, okay, sorry to get another one. Question about taking tactical or fixed secondaries. Which one is better than the other for Orks, or is the list opponent dependent also? If you're going to pick fixed, your list needs to reflect picking fixed. So it's not just I wouldn't not typically, no, it's not opponent dependent. Some people will say like, oh, just use it with knights, but usually when you're Orks and you're playing to knights, it comes down to like a slugfest of you guys really do actually have to kill each other to a certain extent. And Orks have the ability to still play the tactical missions while either having a standoff or crumping the Titans. So that being said, you can build an Ork list for fix if you choose to try to occupy the middle of the table. But for the most part, most high-end Ork players are picking tactical, as they're bringing they're just bringing units that are able to still play the mission while they're still putting pressure on you. Using the pain boss to spam heal Maz, Nama smashes quick. Yeah, the pain boss healing the leaders. I love that. Fixed is growing in popularity, and it's not just for Orks. A lot of European players are starting to shift to building fixed to their list, skipping tactical. Yeah, it's very true. If you're, we've seen that at the GT I went to, several events, especially if they're shooting armies. You'll see like guard wanting to do that a lot too, or if they bring stuff back on the board. So, yeah, people are doing that, and yeah, exactly, because they're doing teleport homers, clans beyond the lines, enemy lines. Tyranid Vanguard Onslaught do that as well. Yeah, and it's not the same for the Orks yet, but some cheeky war boss might actually start doing that, right? Oh, look at my list. You will love the unusual that I make 4-1 this week. You have to tell me where your list is, because I don't know where it is and what's happening. Or you're saying you're going to show me after. I'm not sure, but let me know what you mean. You want to control, yeah, you want to control the randomness as much as possible. That's the thing that I was kind of getting used to as well. Whoa! When I was getting back into the edition, is like, man, I'm really not used to just preparing for these cards, and you have to have little tricks in your mind, like, hey, I'm gonna put certain units, 18 inches from the corner of the table. That way, if I have to run over there, I can get to it. Stuff like that, and that's something you have to keep in mind if you're gonna start using this. And yes, I love Tank Shock. Yeah, most other people, they're like factions, they're not using Tank Shock nearly as much, especially not for a transport like that. When you let them know, oh no, I have a strength 10 right here. Oops. They're like, you're really using it? I'm like, yeah, I really am. And grenade. I love grenades. Shout out to Squighog boys having grenades, and other Ork units. Always throw your grenades, like I always say. Always throw your grenades. Whoa! Get stuck in, lads. Yeah, get stuck in, boys, but I don't say lads. 700 subs. Oh, we got to the threshold. Whoa, we got to 700. That's what's up. During the stream, because we were not at 700 when I started. Zach Morales, Black Templar player, is looking awesome and converted. I wonder if I know who that is. And painted to that an Azteca audio theme. He wore a mask and went to the Jagger the whole event. That's hilarious. That guy has style. That guy is awesome. Quebec City finish open 3rd. Oh, okay. Maybe I can pop it up somehow. Bam. Tank Shock on the wall is very strong. Whoa, because we some strong greenskins. What's that? Quebec City open finish 3rd. Okay. Let me look at this real quick, and then maybe I'll give that a pop too. What time? How much? What time are we at? I don't want to rant. On 48 minutes, probably got time. Let's take a quick look. And Joe Ramo, who his matchups are, real quick, because that was I've considered his list to be pretty powerful as well. So we have World Eaters, Angron. We have Angron, Juggernaut, Jackal, 8-bound, Exalted 8-bound, Corn Lord of Skulls, It's funny because Christian, my cousin, just ran something very similar. I think it's actually the same list as this. As people are teching into this list because they're trying to get turn 1 charges and kind of play their own skew. It's still a strong list and everything. But yeah, you can see with Joel Rommel's list, you actually have the potential to just annihilate that World Eaters list with the kind of strength he really did have on his list. So He ran him over 100 points. We'll just shoot through this real quick because I showed you the list. And, this is the second one in this event. So we have Abaddon, this was the spoiler, Cultist Mob, Legionnaires. Legionnaires are actually all right. Chaos Rhino, more Cultist, Land Raider, Chaos Terminators, Havocs, and Knights Desecrator. Okay, so Knights Desecrator, could be kind of scary, but not necessarily anything on that orc list, on Joe Rommel's orc list. This just doesn't have the punching potential. You're just going to occupy the table and just destroy anything that gets in your way. And then when those killy units do kind of get close enough to you, you're going to just annihilate them enough, or you're going to maim them to the point that you're not really in danger anymore. Like, the Chaos Land Raider and such, like, that'll be destroyed and stuff like that. The Legionnaires aren't going to hold against anything on that orc list. So, yeah, I can see him just running these guys over as well, getting 100 points. Let's see what his third matchup was. Golden Boys. So we have, start with the battle line, I guess. We have Guardians, Prosecutors, Terminators. Here we go, grafting. Oh, but he brought a gunship. Okay. Inquisitor Greyfax and Lord Inquisitor Draxus. So this is maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm missing the tech here, but I'm not seeing this winning you many GT events. You know what I'm saying? So very fun. I've actually played against that list. My friend has one. Shout out to Greg Schofield. But yeah, that's not the meta. I can see why he's bringing it. He's like, why not? Maybe he did even win a couple games to get with it. So Weird Skew is it does have good profiles, but you have to go into like power armor factions to have strength into that. So that's what I'm saying. It's not a meta custos list. So we have the Death Leaper, Neural Tyrant, Wing Tyrant. Oh, is this the same one? This might be the same one that had to play against Vlad Chester. Maybe. Let's see. 2 units of gargoyles, yeah. Barbgons, Barbors, Exocrines, Lictors, Norn Emissary, Tyrant. So this is the exact same list that Brad Chester had to play against. Is that what happened? Yeah, and then this guy ended up crumping him too. That's awesome. Great job for crumping the Tyranid Vanguard Onslaught player. And then he ended up losing that last game to Brad Chester. So one more peep at his list, just so we can kind of get an idea. Boss Zagstruk. Shout out. Hey, Joe Rommel, we covered you at least twice. You should hit me up. I want to know what's going on with Zagstruk. You know what I'm saying? Captain Badrukk, Beast Boss, Nobz Magic Wig, War Boss, Beast Boss, Flash Kits, and then Nobz. Of course, love my scalpel, 3 Storm Boys, and then just bricks on bricks of Squig Hog Boys. Just bricks on bricks. All right, that's what we like to see. When you're bringing Squig Hog Boys, bring all the Squig Hog Boys. Let me just show you this list. I won't go over his whole, matchup and everything. I kind of want to see if I'm being lied to in chat or if that list is very interesting. So I'm gonna go check out that list, most likely on BCP. But let's see. We have, this is the fun list that I wanted to show you. So it's Big Mac and Mega Armor. Follow me, lads. We have another Nabon with wall banner on this list. War Boss, and Mega Armor. I know it's kind of hard to read this, but I'm trying to highlight it for you. With Ed Wappa's Kill Chopper, and then another War Boss and Mega Armor. 2 units of Beast Nagas, 3 trucks, and then here's all the units. Gretchen, units of MegaNobz with Kill Sauce, and other units of MegaNobz with Kill Sauce, followed by 3 more units of Nobz with Power Claws. Boom! Someone got the memo. Shout out to Leighton Brinley. All right. Whoa! You heard me calling for the Nobz, right? You heard me. Nobz on Nobz. That's what I'm talking about. That's my flavor list of the week. You know what I'm saying? He did great too, though. He pulled up several 100s. But let me leave his list off for a second, and let me just peep out what the chat said. See if I'm gonna go on a little longer. Let's see. You said Quebec City open. So am I gonna try to check for that? You guys gonna watch me explore the internet right now? Let's see. You guys gonna see me peep out BCP? Let's see how we do this BCP. Hopefully this isn't super boring for you guys to watch. But hey, right now typically I'd be closing out the stream possibly, and because we're getting close to that time. But I actually want to peep out what they're saying here. Where was it? You said it was in Vancouver. Let me check. Let me read what you said exactly. If you look at the tip, if you're using Quebec City, if you're using BCP, it's actually better if you use the locations. It's way more easy to navigate if you just use the locations. Quebec. Mm-mm. Quebec City. Placings. Oh, don't see you. Sorry, Kim. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. All right, so let's see what Kim did. Let's see how you did here, Kim. If this isn't interesting, I'm gonna crump you. Get. No, I'm just kidding. No, I just wanted to say that. All right, so we got Captain Badrukk, and shout out, hey, great job by the way. I know I went right over it, but that's actually great to get third place. Let's review the event slightly. Let's get a little peep over here. Okay, so how many people? 48, 5 rounds. All right, cool. So yeah, proper event. So let's see. Captain Badrukk, Mech, War Boss. I love the triple War Boss. I am a fan of the triple War Boss. And you know, keeping the Captain Badrukk and the Mech combo, of course. 4 truck. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is a truck spam list with burner boys, flash gets. Okay, I can see why you're. Yeah, that fits the thumbnail right there. We got all the flash gets. Let's see, what is that? Was that 25 flash gets, or am I tripping? Yeah, it's 25 flash gets. That's hilariously amazing. I love that. Gretchen, Nobz, and then a small man unit of Nobz with the squig off. You know what? That's funny you said that. David actually brought up this list. So shout out to David. David did tell me about this list. David is the co-host. David did tell me about this list, and he was wondering if I was going to cover it. So I actually did not, and that's my fault. I'm glad we did cover it. So yeah, this has like a mini SWAT combo because you have the Nobz and the burner boys. Then you have the flash gets and such. So that's hilarious. You have some SWAT team combos, guys. SWAT team means you take Nobz and you take some kind of shooting unit or burner boys, put them both in the truck. One's used for clearing chaff, one's used for fighting for the objective. And then you have only one unit of Gretchen, it looks like. This is an excellent list. And then you got the squig off. You can tell me what went in the squig off since you're actually here. That's actually pretty great. I actually am happy. You have satisfied my cravings. Let's see what's happening. I'm gonna real quick. Let me see if I missed any of the. Yeah, dead knob life for real. That was crazy. The amount of knobs there. I actually left this in a dumb. Hold on. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. I was like, I left it all just not even interesting. Any of it interesting locations. So yeah, we had burner boys, Nobz, flash gets combo, Gretchen. Tell me what win the squig off if you're still in chat. I think you are, but tell me what win the squig off. Knob with wall banner is such a great utility piece. Yes, he is. I love the knob with wall banner. I'm gonna keep praising him. I've been praising him. You know, whatever. Don't call me a prophet. You know what I'm saying? Call me the prophet of Gork and More. Because I've been calling some of these units and these combos. I said the battle wagon was coming. I said the MegaNobz were coming. I said the knob with wall banner was going to be coming. I've been screaming about the Nobz with power claws. Everybody was stuck on the Squig Hog boys and the beast boss on the Squig Shore, and we all knew it. But I'm just saying that it's awesome to see some new things into the meta. Props to Kim for building 25 flash gets. That's what I'm saying. Flash gets themselves are the work, you know. Goodness, because I thought I was cool for owning at least 15. And nope, 25 puts it over. Yeah, you get that happy face. I tapped out after 10, right? I only have 15 because someone gave me 5 after they built them. Squigoth was just there to get shot. Okay, cool. That's pretty funny. You're just like, no. It's just there to die. It's just there to draw fire. So we'll quickly go over some of your matchups. Drakari. We have the Archon, Homunculus, Kabalite Warriors, Rax, Raider, Venom, Kronos, Mandrakes, Ravengers, goodness, okay. Scourges, Talon. Okay, so a couple of their like durable, mini versions of Dreadnoughts I see there. What I really like about Drakari is they're just trying to play the mission and have so many units and activations that they just win. But against Orks, they're not going to do that as well, as we can kind of beat them in skirmishes. The SWAT units were probably kind of interesting in that matchup, with the flamers and such, and having a bunch of small units that can fight. So we have the Grey Knights. I assume, just like we said, if you have a lot of trucks, you're just going to occupy the table. When they do disembark, we do have the units that can kill them. So even though it's not a big store, this looks almost exactly like this looks exactly like the list from the Michigan GT Open, but this is in Quebec. So this is what I mean. Like, Grey Knights have a specific style and list that they're doing. I mean, great job for beating them too. I'm saying, but they suffer from that, archetype of the Grey Knights list suffers to Orks and most of their archetypes because we just take over the whole table. So here, we got Prisms Eldar, Artok, Wayleaper, Yadin Khan, Fire Prism. Hornets, Night Spinners, Shadow Specters, Swooping Hawks, Walkers, War Spiders. Okay, so interestingly enough, we don't see, the big breath of Wraith Guard. Don't see the Avatar King, which I'm not saying you have to. The Incarnate is fully acceptable, but these guys just want to shoot. So I'm hoping you were just able to close the distance with your trucks, play the mission, and then eventually start touching stuff because they don't got anything to dig themselves out, it looks like. Did I skip something? Let me see. This is the other. Abaddon the Despoiler. So you did have to go into some dark cast Marine players. And I was wondering if this was going to be one of our Predators, and it's not so far. So far we have, we can win Cultist, Leech. It's because they usually don't have enough units, and then the units they have they're kind of like attributed to like bricks, and they want to shoot you. So I think it's terrain dependent. I think too. I think open tables you can just get a shot off the table. A Cursed Cultist, Forge Fiends, Obliterators. Yeah, for Obliterators have freaking great profiles, but it's just that they don't have real range. So once they just get off, they just, we just start crumping them and close the distance. And then 2 Nurglings. Yeah, so this was actually good. This is a straight up positive, totally viable Chaos Marine list, but having a bunch of trucks and killing potential on the list, those SWAT teams and such, all those knobs are just dismantling that list, in my opinion. And then we have another Chaos list. So we have Chaos Lord, Master of Possession, Dark Commune, Cultist, Accursed Cultist, Chosen, Obliterators, Warp Talons. So it's like a different version, like different but similar to the list that he just seen. It does have more scoring potential and like activations and such like that, but those units aren't going to help them win against the Orks because you're not really going to kill the Orks with those units. So yeah, that was actually a great job. Well, guys, I thought that was pretty awesome. I think I was very excited for the list that I was showing you guys and everything today. Let me take a second and look at what you guys got to say to me before I give my closing thoughts. Squigoth was just there to get shot. Burner Boys dropping the 2 units of 5 to accomplish secondaries. Okay, I get it. Beast Boss on Squigosaur, spam. Beast Boss on Squigosaur. That's what you want to do? Everything else is less annoying for your opponents. Yeah, I get what you're saying. That's another thing, too. I mean, I think Happy Crumpo went out in the beginning of the meta and said he loved his Beast Boss and Squigosaur. He loves running like 3 or something like that. You don't have to sell me or anybody in the Orc meta that the Beast Snagger boys and data sheets are great, because they are. They're great. I'm happy to have them. Blessing to Squighog boys and everything. Having 4 Philippine, it feels awesome as an Orc player. But like I was trying to say, for our closing thoughts, if you guys want to throw some more thoughts at me, let me know. But summary, right? What we're seeing here is that people are still able to utilize the truck spam. Boom, no problem. Trucks are always going to be great for the point cost right now. But you are seeing the introduction of the battle wagons, because we're starting to notice that, hey, people don't really have all the direct firepower to deal with a battle wagon and trucks. What we're seeing is more AP on our list. People are sick of having the -1 AP and bouncing off units, when now we're having more and more Armor of Contempt and more gunline units. They're like, hey, we'll just pay for the transport for that bunker protection, essentially. Stage, once we get blown up, if we get blown up, get out and actually have the AP to deal with what we want to deal with. People are spamming them. People are bringing 1 tech piece of each. We got to see Gaz in the meta now. That's interesting. We don't know if that's just a one-off. Sean Dan just figured it out, or if more people are going to do it. But if you want to use Gaz, that should give you hope for using Gaz. If you have battle wagons, you have hope for using battle wagons. MegaNobz, people were down on MegaNobz for a little bit. You can bring MegaNobz still. So we're seeing that the meta for the Orcs is changing while the rise of the green tide is happening. Whoa! So you see everything is rising in our book as a whole, because we've been getting better and understanding our index, and then our general predators, who weren't really our predators because they're like great factions. It was predatory because they had great rules that were just bypassing playing the game sometimes, like having the ability to shoot through buildings and stuff with the knights, or this custodes being able to just at will not let you fight and compete in the one phase that we want to compete in. So it's not that we were even a bad index. It's just it was like bad mechanics of the game. Remove those and Orcs just started to pop, 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 pop. That's why it's easy to predict, well, that was going to happen. We knew the rise of the green tide was coming. We were saying it here. We've been saying it every time we start our Waaagh Wednesdays. So as well as the AP is necessary. Okay, that's why I kept talking scalpel unit, because I knew and I recognized you're going to need the volume and mixture of AP, volume, and strength, and that 1 unit of Nobz with Power Claws is the only reliable way to get that, which is just a straight up way to play Orcs throughout the editions. So it was for me an easy way to thing to notice, and it's just that everybody else noticed. Let's keep bringing more and more, Nobz with Power Claws, MegaNobz with Kill Saws, Nobz with Wall Banners, all about that Nob life. it's almost as good as the speed. Yeah, and I'm actually super happy to see the knob with wall banner because I definitely love that. I love the teching. It's really like a tech piece. You let people know you can pay for the follow me lads on him, or put the war boss in there and pay for the follow me lads. Then you have this great threat range, great ability to play the mission and play the middle of the board without overcommitting your whole army, and that was what we've seen from Sean Naden's list. So yeah, I'm excited. You should be excited. It's the rise of the green tide. Whoa! So with that being said, on Friday, guys, we're going to talk about the best performing, the most popular units on the best performing list throughout the last 3 or 4 weeks. So that entails us literally going through, counting all the units from all the best performing lists, making them on a sheet, knowing who's the best, getting who's the best, putting them in order. Boom. So we'll actually know what units actually changed from the last time we did this, which was roughly like a month ago or so. So I like to do these either every 4 months to 4 weeks to 8 weeks, so we can see if anything's changing throughout the months of what the meta is happening. So one last maybe chat, I guess, for now. We do it, and we do it big. We green, we mean, we lean, we the mean green fighting machine. Whoa! I added all that, so obviously. I was on a roll. All right, guys. Well, with that being said, I appreciate y'all, but there's one thing to keep in mind. Don't cross a wall, because we knock your teeth out. Whoa!